Hey guys, welcome to the Centre Bounce. In today's video, we're going to talk about our Supercoach 2021 season, what went well and what went wrong, and where the team ended up overall. So, sit back, grab your popcorn, and enjoy the video. So, we finished this year with a season rank of 4,884, or 4,484. It wasn't too bad, but we could have done a lot better. And as you'll see through the trades and our starting team, we made a lot of mistakes that we'll have to remember for next year. We had an average score of 2,211, which wasn't very good, considering a lot of players actually jumped up quite a lot, and we really missed out on the go-getters this year, which is one of the things that we're going to be talking about at the end of the video. We were still in the top 3%, so can't complain about that, but top 1%, top 100, it's a lot better than where we were. Let's look at the team. So, in the back line, this is the back line we finished off with. Lloyd, Short, and Whitfield. Lloyd and Short, they did their job. They did alright. I think they were probably the two consistent guys. We obviously had Stewart as well, but he was injured for the last couple of games, so he's on the bench. We didn't get his score, round 23. Ridley was very up and down this year. I think if you had him as a starting pick, if you had him, during the season, he would have been alright. Looking at the top scorers in defence, he did quite well, but as you can see, there definitely were some games that were very high and some very low games. Dyson Hetpool, Redmond, and a few others really hurt his scoring because he wasn't the sole backman. So when Hetpool was out, really tend to do a bit better. But that's just Supercoach, isn't it? Houston. So that's where it started to fall off. I think he's definitely going to be on my never ever again list. But, we stuck with him. We had him. He was cheap. And that's what we get. In the back line as well, we had a couple of rookies. So depth and bench cover was one of the things that I was happy about with this team. We didn't really float many donuts. I think we had one donut, and this was round 23. And that was for the whole season. So it's really good. Highmore, got to look at him for next year, see how he's going. I know McKernan and a couple of others may be retiring down at St Kilda, so Highmore might be a cheeky 300 and 320k player who could potentially actually jump up in scoring. So we'll see how you go. And then Bianco over here, the depth. So can't complain. In the midfield, so Steele, McRae, and Oliver. Oh man, they're basically must-have starters for next year. So if you don't have them, I think you're in a bit of trouble. Pump out huge numbers, really consistent, and a 120 is pretty good. 3 guys, 120 average. Missed out on Took, missed out on the Bont, Tom Mitchell, and a few others. And yeah, I think we'll be putting out another video talking about who I missed, at what times, and when to upgrade during the season. So stay tuned for that. Laird. Oh man. I've had Laird the last few seasons, and I wish he would be a defender for next year, but I just don't see it happening. 116 average. And Laird just dominates the Adelaide midfield. Matt Crouch is sticking around. Brad's gone. I think Matt's definitely going to fall back a bit. So Laird's getting the lion's share of the scoring, which is really good for him. And it's good for Supercoach owners. Merritt, 120. Not a bad captain score at the end of the game, at the end of the season, but I don't think I'll be playing him next year. I think if you had Merritt at, say, a M8 position, sure. But starting him at the start of the year really hurt. I didn't have Bont. I didn't have a few of the other bigger players. And having a guy who really, I think he dropped down to about 540k during the season with a couple of dreadful scores really hurt. And that's the Essendon midfield in a nutshell. Parrish went really high. Merritt dropped. So, what to do? Walsh. So, depending on Walsh's price next year, maybe we'll start him, maybe we won't. I think he's going to be an upgrade target. He was great this year. 117 average of a guy that's been playing like 4 years in the AFL. It's really good. So, we'll see how we go. Lyons. So, Jared Lyons. Had a few good weeks. I think he did a lot better with Neil not in the team, but what to do, Looking at Kelly as well. So, Josh Kelly, never again. Never again. Always misses games, really hurts his scoring. So what can you do? As I was saying, depth was the name of the team. Well, the name of the team's Big J all day, as you can see, but depth was the way to go. So happy that we had Bramble, picked him up at 100k, did really well. Should be could be one of those sneaky upgrade players next year, but we'll see what Sam Mitchell says, what he wants to do with the Hawthorn team. So John Newcomb there, I think he had one good game, so similar to Bramble. We'll see how we go. In the ruck, so Max Gawn, what a freak. Still the best and still going strong. 120 average, I think that was probably one of his lower averages in the last few years to finish on, but still really good. We're going to see what's going to happen with him next year. Luke Jackson's definitely opened up his moving around the field, so he can go back, go forward. As you've seen in the final series, he kicked 5 like 2 days ago, which is really good. I think he scored like a 170 in Supercoach, but he's not getting those ruck contests anymore. So you may get a few lower scores or a few just scoring 100, which is what we saw this year, especially during the middle of the year. Someone like a Sean Darcy, for example, takes all the midfield and all the ruck points. Doesn't really share with anyone, versus a Max Gawn who's getting a little bit older, still mobile, still amazing, but it's something to consider, especially with him potentially being, if he's 750k like he's been the last couple of years. Can you really afford him over a Sean Darcy or someone? We'll see when teams open in October. So, Brodie Grundy. What can we say about Brodie Grundy? He's a good player. You can't complain about that. But he's really struggled. Collingwood's really struggled, and that was obviously seen by his scoring. So many sub 100 scores, but what can you do? Set and forget, as it was. And that's what we went with compared to last year. So, not too bad. Zorko was really good. It's surprising. He's over 30 and he's still pumping out these type of scores. He's going to be doing quite well again next year, hopefully. We'll see. I don't think he's going to be slowing down anytime soon. So, depending on his price, depending on who's really available, which is the big thing going into next year. This year we started with, what did we start with? Dangerfield and a couple of other guys. And it worked out okay, but we'll have to just play it off and see how we go. So we picked up Taryn Thomas during the buys. Did really well. I think he had a couple of games where he was out, and lucky we had a Madden to come and cover him. But depending on if Thomas is staying forward, or maybe he's going to be DPP next year, if he's coming out at 400k, he's going to be someone that you really need to look for. He's part of North's growing midfield. He can play mid and forward really well and kicks goals, and he's really clean with the ball. So, future superstar of the game right there. Nick Hind. So, similar to a Zach Merritt, Nick Hind plays in defence. Heppel and other players come in. They take a lot of his scoring. So, 93. What can you do? 93 average. We picked him up generally when it was around the right time to pick him up during the season. But there was definitely other options. So, what can you do? Danaher. So, he was one of my grasping at straws type players. If I didn't have him, I'd be much happier. But Danaher kicked a goal in every game of this season. So what can you do? Lesson learnt is partly why I'm there on the season. But what can you do these days? Coleman Jones, similar bench player, had to come in and cover. Was supposed to be one of those rookie upgrades, but as you can see, the forward line was a bit of shambles. So yeah. McRae, whatever. Zeeble. So, this year, we definitely got a lot of forwards who are playing in defence. Your Impies, your Hines, your Zeebles. Hall, for example, as well. They're not going to be there next year. So, picking up these super cheap budget plays really, really helped. The guys that didn't have Zeeble and Impey at the start of the season, they definitely fell off really quick. And they were scrambling to pick them in at a much higher price. So, Zeeble, can't complain. So, let's check out our trade history. So, this is our scoring history for this year. It wasn't too bad. We definitely started off really poorly, and that kind of set the scene because we weren't in a position like some others that, started top 100, started top 200, top 500, and then was stable. We really were chasing points from the get-go. Our lowest score this year was our lowest position score? Was about 1,698. So we really were never in the pack. And that's what really hurt us. And I'll show you why. It was starting team. But let's just go through the team. We had a few big scores. We were never really in the middle of the round positions. We never had any like top 100, top 200, top 1,000 round scores. And that was from picking the wrong players. And maybe getting rid of players a little bit too early. Like you'll see what we did with Heaney. But missing out on the boat is what's really hurt us this year. There's a lot of players, and I've said it off air, a lot of players in the Discord and things like that guys who are starting really expensive, they're going to drop in price. And they generally do that between rounds 6 and 9 or 6 and 10. And if you don't have your money set up, if you don't have yourself ready to go, you're really going to miss out on those players. And that's what happened to us this year. Obviously, starting out with the wrong guys really hurt us. And you'll see that when I look at the trade history. But missing out on those players, it's dreadful. And we missed out, and we were scrambling, and that's just what's happened. So, yeah. So we finished out 4,484th. It wasn't too bad. If you look at our finishing price, so we brought in the cash cows when we needed to, which was really good for us. The cash cows weren't really a problem. It was the established players that we were supposed to keep throughout the season. I've had teams where I've finished a lot higher in the rankings, and I've been struggling to get 13,500,000. You know, teams that were $500,000 less in price value than what we had, and that's really showing. So on that front, we did well. We picked up the cash cows, we traded them in and traded them out when we needed to. You know, keeping a James Jordan as long as we did, a Tom Powell, that kind of thing. But overall, what can you do? We boosted up in one of our leagues this year, which was really good. So I'm in Div 1 in that league. Made a little bit of money in the cash league, so can't complain about that. Let's check out the trade history. Ooh. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. Let's jump over here. So, starting out with our trade history. So, one of the things that really hurt us at the start of the year was the players that we started with. I believe we took way too many risks, and that definitely hurt. If you look at the first 3 weeks of the season, we were almost 6 trades down. Well, we basically were 6 trades down before we had even made an upgrade. So it's like, hey, you've got a team of 30 trades, and I've got a team of 24 trades, and I'm trying to compete with you. And that's what starting with a really poor starting team hurts. Look at this guy. How did I ever start him? Why did you guys let me start Don Tyson? Come on, fellas. What are you doing? Feel a bit like Shorty here. So, round 2, traded out Dangerfield. I believe he got injured or he got suspended that round. And I was like, I'm not keeping a 600k player for 3 to 4 weeks. It wasn't going to happen. So I traded him out. Traded out Tyson. Brought in Young and Martin. So, it was okay. Martin had a really good first game and then definitely fell off during the season. What can you do? Hayden Young, so similar to him. If I had brought in a Cummings, if I had brought in an Alir or someone like that, I'd be laughing. I'd be set. But bringing in Young, him getting injured, definitely spiraled out my season this year. And it's something that really, really, really hurt. Trading in 3 or 4 players to cover a single position on field, you just can't do it and expect success. And that's what happened to us. So what can you do? Round 3, Cripps went out, was complaining about his back injuries. I believe he got crunched during one of the preseason games. And yeah, that's just what happened. So round 3 wasn't too bad. Brought in Warner, good cash cow, and Ridley, who we kept for the whole season. Dow went out round 4. Shouldn't have started him. Basically, should not have started him. Generally, your teams that do well don't have any trades in this position. These 3 or 4 weeks. No trades. Who had lots of trades? It was me. And as you saw, that's the finishing position that we went in. Not having any trades after round 19, not having any trades at all. Or barely any trades since the bye rounds. Just hurt. And, yeah. Dow and Jath. So Dow and Young out. Jath and Waterman. So Jath did all right for us, but I think he got found out really early. And bringing in a player like that at this time and expecting that kind of success and not getting it just kills you. So that's obviously what happened. Round 5, Daniel. So we could have kept him for the whole season and not worried too much, but he fell off. I think this was the week that he got like a 19 and then he got suspended and then he just fell to shit. So if we pull up Footy Y, guys, it's amazing. So this is Daniel for the year. We dropped Daniel here. Over here. He was absent this week. And then 78, 117, blah, 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 blah. So we could have kept him. It wouldn't have been perfect, but as a D6, it's bearable. Especially some of these bigger scores at the end of the season. Like, you're not going to complain about a 92 or 93. 145, obviously good, but not those scores. Brought in Oliver. Really good. And Chapman. So Chapman really hurt. And that started the struggle with the D6 position. So we had Jath. He was D5. And then for Young, we basically traded in Chapman outside of, via Clark kind of thing. And I don't think we actually filled that position until round 12 or 13. And yeah, it really sucks. Some people started 6 defenders. I think I probably should, especially with the premiums scoring or being at the price that they were. Looking back, obviously that's what it should have been, but what can you do? Something to remember for next year. Pick out the players that you almost want to have in the top 6 positions or top 8 for midfielders and work towards those players. Have a look at, hey, if I can start a premium defender at 450, 500k, maybe that's worth doing instead of taking 2 or 3 mid prizes who are really sketchy, which is what we did. I think we took too many mid prizes, gambled on them, and it obviously didn't work out. So Daniel was out. Oliver was in. Obviously, we kept him, really good player. And then Chapman. So Chapman really hurt us. Yeah, and you'll see why. So round 6, continuing what we tried to do with bottoming out rookies. So Campbell made a little bit of money. Berry made a bit. Should have kept Berry a bit longer. I think he got to a decent price by the end of it. But let's just have a quick look. Adelaide. Where's Berry? Okay. So we kind of dropped Berry at his decent price. I think we dropped him at... Let's have a quick look. So we dropped him at 213. So, yeah, okay. We didn't lose too much with Berry, which was good. I thought we would have. And we were gearing up for the first couple of upgrades, which was nice. You see that here with Chapman. So upgrading Chapman to a Walsh. And we do that via DPP. And I'm really happy that we have those DPP players. The capacity to move players around really, really helped us. And you can see, that's what worked. So, but what really hurt as well was Chapman. So continuing with that D6 problem, we brought in Hayden Young to cover for someone who was out. Okay. Then we go back. We have to bring Chapman in for Hayden Young. We banked some money. Okay. Chapman, I think, scored 100 or an 80. Cash cow. Yay. Really good. 2 weeks later, Chapman's dead. Got injured. Sorry, mate. There goes a trade for 70k. You just can't do it. And that's what happened. And then, yeah, the downhill kind of continued from there. So brought in Walsh and Zorko. Really good. 2 keepers. Can't complain. Dunkley fell off. He got injured. Really, really sucks. But he made us some money. And if you didn't have Dunkley, you were struggling. Here we go. So round 8 is when it really started to hurt. Goulden at 297. Okay. I think he was like 310 at one point. Dropping him for 20k, it's fine. Rowe as well. He definitely jumped up. So we got rid of him round 8. Let's look at Jimmy Rowe. So round 8, 234k. Next week, 236, and so on and so on. So we struggled with all of these really poor scores. And then when we get rid of him, he starts going big, which kind of hurts. Not big, but that's 50 odd K and some decent bench and playing field cover, which I think we really missed out on during those key crucial rounds. So can't complain, that's Supercoach really. Take a gamble. But what really hurt was Atkins here. So during round 8, we had Hind to pick as well. We could have picked Hall. And if we had picked Hall, we would have jumped up the rankings. Would have been so much happier with everything this year if we had done that for a similar price. I'm not sure why I didn't. Looking back, it was silly. But, this is why it's a review and we can't go back in time. Cozzy coming out at that price was really good. Next round, round 9. I think he maybe had jumped up 20 or so K at one point. But, we paid 100K for him and made 180, so can't complain. And the similar with Warner as well. Got him at 144, cashed him out at 329. That's what you should be doing with your rookies. What hurt us a lot was not bringing in players at this time as well, because there would have been some options. Poulter, Collier Dawkins, yes. Cash cow rookies at the right time. But with some better planning, we could have made a lot better. The following week, we did get rid of Scott and Powell, which was nice, and we brought in Lyons and Hind. So, yeah, that was your second upgrade. I think I could have brought in someone like the Bont instead of Lyons at that point, round 10. Let's have a quick look. I definitely know there were a few players around the midfield price at that, and I definitely went up to try and catch him. So the Bont was a similar price, and gosh, look at that scoring. If you didn't have him, it really hurt us owners. There were definitely a few players around that point price that, would have been really good. And the issue is, going back to the starting team, if you have a look, round 10, I've used 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 trades by round 10. You could have a full premium team if you had started with a good team by using 18 trades. It's not that hard. 2 rookies in, or 2 rookies out, 1 player in. You can do it. But that's not what happened. And, then came the buy rounds, basically. We were struggling for trades. I think we got 2 more trades during the season, which helped. But, what can you do? I think that was around this time when the fixture got moved around because of COVID. So that week was okay. Traded out McCreary for Madden. Madden kept till the end of the rest of the year. Did all right for us. Decent bench cover. This is where it started to really hurt. And at this point, we could have had a full team with a couple of trades left. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel, which was okay, but Jath went out for Moore. So Darcy Moore went and I think he did his ACL. When was it? Round 14. So, decent player, played his game really well, did really well for us. 2 weeks later, injured for the whole year. Similar to Flynn was a good cash out. I know some people cashed him out a little bit earlier, but we didn't, and that was fine. So, what this should have been your Dangerfields, your whoever upgrades this week, and we brought in budget price guys because we just couldn't afford them. And that's coming basically down to this. This is all of this, which really hurt us. All of this really hurt up here. Well, let's look at the next week. So the next week, brought in Houston. Had him for the rest of the year. 414. If he had scored really well, he would be a much higher value. So we brought him in thinking, hey, he's kept his back line. He's kept his position. Okay, no worries. But that obviously didn't happen. So, I think he got a couple of 60s and then maybe like a 110 in there as well. So let's have a quick look. Houston round 14. So, round 14, 98. Okay, not too bad. Round 15, 110. Looking really good. Then a 67. then a 48, then a 52, then a 91, okay, not too bad, then a 51, then a 116, okay, then a 91 and 81. So Dan Houston, definitely one of those players that when the team is struggling, he does really well. Port ended up top 4. Great for them, no complaints. But that meant that they had a lot of steamroller games, and it really, really hurt Supercoach. So never again. Dan Houston, never again. Next year we'll pick him at some point, but never again for right now. Waterman out, Poulter out. Really good cash cows there. Murphy, not so much, but I think he got injured. So Houston, Bramble were kept for the whole year, and then Josh Kelly as well. So could have gone Titch instead of Kelly, and we would have had a much better scoring and a much better time, because I believe Kelly was out for a couple of weeks and he dropped a couple of stinkers as well, whereas Titch jumped. So that was a big mistake by us. We just have to take it, but that's what happens. And then Impey got injured that week. Danaher in, so that was basically my team done at that point. I think Dusty Martin got injured a couple of weeks later, and then Taryn Thomas in as well. And then it ends up being the team that you see here. So, yeah. What can we look forward to for next year? So, really good teams, basically. What can we look forward to? So, a lot of the forwards who are really good are going to be defenders. So, your Hall, your Zeebles, your Nick Hines, probably going to get DPP mid-defender if we're lucky. A few of those guys are going to be really good in defence, maybe even starters. A few more midfielders like Laird's going to pop out, and then some more DPP players like your Taryn Thomases and that. How did you guys go this year? How did you go? What were some of the things that you could have done a lot better that you didn't? What were some regrets? And what were some learnings that you're going to take into next year? Let me know. I'm interested to hear about it. So, looking at the off-season, we're going to have some trade videos coming out. We're going to have a lot of highlights videos as well, and your top 10 review videos. So I'm going to be putting those out over the next few weeks, and stick around for some great content, guys. Remember, I'm Big J. Have a nice day. Bye.